Welcome to another Walter Football video. I'm Charlie Campbell, Senior Draft Analyst. Before we get rolling here, I suggest you speed it up to 1.25 or 1.5. All right, sorry for the little hiatus there in early December, late November time range. I do a little project for some NFL teams, so that eats up some time. So I'm back anyways, got that done and behind me. Of course, the content never stops on walterfootball.com, but I got this week's mock, so I thought I'd crank out a quick video on that for those that want to see it in video form, but you can follow along in the links below. Check out all the other picks in the second round and all that good stuff. So let's get into the mock. First overall pick, Detroit Lions. I have him taking Kenny Pickett, quarterback from Pittsburgh. So in the hot press recently, I did a hot press where I talked with a bunch of team sources, and they mentioned how a number of them mentioned how they thought he'd be the first quarterback off the board, likely to go some thought he'd go number one overall. It just kind of depends on who has the picks, what their quarterback situation is, trades, all that stuff. But at any rate, the Lions need a long-term franchise quarterback. Jared Goff clearly is not that. He has struggled this year. It's been tough circumstance with the receivers he's had to work with, but there have been plenty of plays to be made that he just missed on and didn't play well enough, and Detroit needs a long-term starter. Clearly, Goff isn't it. They could take other positions and hope to come back next year and get a quarterback. That's very risky, though. They could end up having, say, the 5th, 6th, 7th pick in the draft, and maybe there's only two guys, and they're going in the top two, and then they're SOL for a quarterback, and they're falling into that quarterback purgatory. So if there's a quality one there, first overall, and you need a long-term guy, it's dangerous to pass on that. And obviously, the franchise is paying the price. The new regime of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell is paying the price for the franchise passing on Justin Herbert, passing on Pat Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. So definitely Detroit needs that long-term answer. Pickett has a really good skill set, a really accurate passer, great character, good size, mobility, is tough. I think he would be a great guy for the Lions to rebuild around, especially considering the adversity and things he's overcome. I think he'll be able to handle a rough rookie year in Detroit and grow and build upon that and not let it shell shock him. So have the Lions going to Kenny Pickett. All right, second overall, I have the Jags taking Kayvon Thibodeau, defensive end from Oregon. Obviously, Chason has really struggled up to this point. They could use another edge rusher across from Josh Allen. Jags just need to upgrade the talent on that team and on that defense, so they go best player available, grab Thibodeau. Third overall, I have the Texans taking Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end from Michigan. Give them a replacement for J.J. Watt. Obviously, they've lost. They used to have a three-headed monster of edge rushers with Watt, Clowney, Merciless. They're all gone. John Grenard is looking like he could be a solid pro, but they kind of need that lead dog to make things go defensively, so I could see Hutchinson being a good fit there in Houston. Fourth overall, I have the Jets taking George Karlaftis, defensive end from Purdue. They could use an edge rusher across from Carl Lawson. The interior of that line is really good. Getting Lawson back will help, and then one more edge rusher could really help make that defense make a huge jump in year two with Robert Saleh. Fifth overall, I have the Giants taking Jermaine Johnson, edge rusher from Florida State. The Giants are one edge rusher away from finishing off that defensive line. Have a tough interior there. Azeez Ojulari looks like he's going to be a solid pro on one end, so you get another guy across from him. That'll be a really tough defensive line there for New York. Seventh overall, I have the Jets taking Kyle Hamilton. Oh, I'm sorry, skipped over. Sixth overall, the Giants Again, back-to-back picks because of the trade with the Bears. I have the Giants taking Evan Neal, offensive tackle from Alabama. They could use more offensive line help, a replacement for Nate Solder. Neal and Andrew Thomas could give them really good bookends, make them be really strong on the edge there. 7th overall, I have the Jets taking Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. Obviously, Marcus Mays probably on his way out. Jamal Adams was traded away. They could use a difference maker at safety. Kyle Hamilton is the real deal. You might say he's the rarest prospect in this draft class, kind of most generational, I guess would be a way you could say it, but he is just an amazing safety, can do it all, big, fast, play free safety, strong safety, cover tight ends and man, really tough run defender, such a fast lightning bolt coming downhill to defend the run. Well, really the only thing he can't do is cover slot receivers and man, but that's okay. This guy is a phenomenal safety. I think he's going to be a potential perennial All-Pro and could have Hall of Fame potential. He's that good. So 8th overall, I have the Panthers taking Charles Cross, left tackle from Mississippi State. Carolina has done a lot of these veteran journeymen on the signings and free agency the past few years, but they really could use a legit left tackle to go with Taylor Moton on the right side. And that offensive line gets them by when they go against a weak opponent or average opponent, but when they see a good defensive line, they're in trouble. They need some long-term answers up front, and Cross would be a really good left tackle for them. 9th overall, I have the Falcons taking Jordan Davis, the big nose tackle from Georgia. Atlanta could stand to get bigger, more physical on that defensive line. And on the defense overall, I think Davis would be a good fit there for the Falcons. 10th overall, I have the Eagles taking Derek Stingley. Excuse me. Pardon me, guys. All right, anyways. I have the Eagles taking Derek Stingley, cornerback from LSU. They could use a corner across from Darius Slay. Stingley at 10th overall is a nice value. 11th overall, I have the Eagles taking Damone Clark, linebacker from LSU. Really good player. Just a phenomenal season. Was a tackling machine. He's big, fast, athletic, can cover. Really just was phenomenal as a senior. The Eagles have had poor linebackers for years with 3 first-round picks. I think they can afford to use one to really upgrade the middle of that defense. 12th overall, I have the Vikings taking Ahmad Gardner, cornerback from Cincinnati. Give them a feature number 1 corner. Obviously, Jeff Gladney, Mike Hughes were busts. Then Xavier Rhodes leaves. Trey Waynes didn't work out. So they still need long-term cornerback help, and I think Gardner be a really good scheme fit there, big, fast, and athletic. 13th overall, I have the Saints taking Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver from Kentucky. Give them a shifty, fast playmaker, dangerous receiver to get open and uncover underneath, can push defenses vertically. New Orleans really needs more wide receiver talent. They've missed Michael Thomas this year. Even if he comes back, they could use an upgrade across from him. 14th overall, I have the Raiders taking Jameson Williams, wide receiver from Alabama. He is similar to Henry Ruggs in terms of just a lightning bolt, fast, linear guy to burn defenses deep downfield. And the Raiders' offense was just playing superb football before Ruggs left the lineup with his unfortunate accident. And I think that getting another speed guy would really make sense for the Raiders, but they have a lot of holes. They need more offensive line help. They need a lot of help on defense, so they could really go in a variety of directions. 15th overall, I have the Steelers taking Tyler Linderbaum, center from Iowa. Pittsburgh offensive line has been terrible. It's struggled the past few years. They could use a long-term answer at center to replace Marquise Pouncey. Linderbaum would be a plug-and-play upgrade. 16th overall, I have the Broncos taking Akem Ekonwu, left tackle from NC State. Put him at right tackle. That's been a hole for years. Give them a bookend duo, really improve that offensive line for the Broncos. 17th overall, I have the Bengals taking Nick Petit-Ferrer, left tackle from Ohio State. They could use more offensive line help to protect Joe Burrow. You can kick Jonah Williams to right tackle or guard or center. Jackson Carman play inside at guard, and now your offensive line is upgraded at potentially 3 spots with 1 pick. So I would think that really could help Cincinnati in the long term if they use one more premium pick on an offensive lineman. 18th overall, I have the Browns taking David Ojabo, edge rusher from Michigan. Jadeveon Clowney's played really well for Cleveland. He's going to be hitting free agency. We'll see if the Browns get him back. But even if they do, they could use a third edge rusher to pair with him and Myles Garrett, keep them fresh, keep them going for 4 quarters. Clowney's had a lot of injuries in his career. Try and cut down on his workload to keep him healthy for the season. And also, if he does get hurt again or Garrett gets hurt again, you have some depth there where you still have 2 good edge rushers. And you're not, having just one guy that teams are going to double team and take away, and now your pass rush is completely gone. So I like that pick for Cleveland. 19th overall, I have Washington taking Trent McDuffie, cornerback from Washington, University of Washington. Really smooth cover corner, can run the route, prevent separation, good athlete, good speed, was returning punts for the Huskies this year. He's a sleeper, but I know some teams that like him. He could be a really nice value pick in this draft class. 20th overall, I have the Bills taking Garrett Wilson, wide receiver from Ohio State. Not the hugest of needs. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is phenomenal, but they could use more talent across from him. Give Josh Allen another weapon. Never a bad idea. Garrett Wilson, really explosive playmaker, smooth route runner, has functional size, really good football player. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes higher than this, though, and could be the first receiver off the board. 21st overall, I have the Eagles taking Drake Jackson, edge rusher from USC. Derek Barnett's hitting free agency. Brandon Graham is aging out of the league. Could use another edge rusher to go across from Josh Sweat. Drake Jackson, really nice season. When they let him rush, USC dropped him in coverage too much, but he has speed off the edge, quality size, could get bigger and tougher, but definitely has the upside to get better. 22nd overall, I have Miami taking Devin Lloyd, linebacker from Utah. Just a phenomenal season, was super productive for the Utes. Made a ton of clutch plays and huge plays for them. Miami could use more talent in the middle of that defense. Lloyd would be a plug-and-play upgrade. 23rd overall, I have the Chargers taking Travon Walker, edge rusher from Georgia. Tough defensive end, good against the run, has a lot of upside in terms of speed and athleticism. With the contract they gave Joey Bosa, I think it makes sense to have a cheap end on a 5-year contract and a guy with some talent, first-round talent. Bosa, this will help him in terms of being able to move him around, try and avoid double teams and have another edge rusher to go with him, replace Melvin Ingram, help that defense with the versatility up front there. 24th overall, I have the Lions taking Drake London, wide receiver from USC. Clearly, the Lions need more receiver help. They have some guys like Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds, who I think could be solid 3rd, 4th receivers, but they really need a number 1 and a number 2, and Drake London would kind of give them that big number 1 possessional kind of guy. He does separation and speed is a real concern, so he's kind of on that bubble of 1st, 2nd round pick, but he's tough, physical, size mismatch, dangerous on 50-50 passes, really could be a plug-and-play upgrade for the Lions. It's kind of similar to Kenny Golladay in terms of the separation concerns, but when you give him a quality quarterback, this is a guy that's going to go up and make some plays and really dynamic with the ball in his hands, just such a threat to run through tackles and just keep going downfield. So I think that would be a really nice pair for the Lions' 1st-round picks. 25th overall, I have the Ravens taking Kenyon Green, guard from Texas A&M. Ravens have got to improve the offensive line for Lamar Jackson. I think he's taken too many hits this year. The running game hasn't been consistent enough for them. I think getting Green would be a plug-and-play upgrade at a guard spot for them. He has some flexibility. You could maybe play him at right tackle in a pinch if you had to. But the Ravens, I think, could really use more offensive line talent. 26th overall, I have the Titans taking Trevor Penning, left tackle from Northern Iowa. Ryan Tannehill's been hit way too much this year, too many sacks on him. They could use more talent on the right side of that line. They're paying the price for Isaiah Wilson being a bust. I think Dylan Redunz is better fit at guard in the NFL. Kick him inside in the long term, and now you've upgraded the line at 2 spots. So I think that would make a lot of sense for the Titans to get a right tackle here late in the first round. Excuse me. 27th overall, I have the Cowboys taking DeMarvin Leal, defensive lineman from Texas A&M. He can play end, play tackle, kind of struggles in the run game on the inside. He has good run instincts, but dangerous interior pass rusher. I like the fit in the Cowboys 4-3 scheme. You play him as a heavy end on rundowns, kick him inside in the sub package, give you an interior pass rusher that can get after the quarterback. I think he'd be a good fit in Dallas. 28th overall, I have the Cardinals taking Perry and Winfrey, defensive tackle from Oklahoma. Jordan Phillips has played really well since J.J. Watt was injured, but obviously Watt's not a long-term player. Winfrey's a dangerous interior rusher, could put him next to Phillips, and you have a tough interior duo with size and speed and upside. So I like that fit there for the Cardinals. They could use more youth on that defensive line. Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt, they're nearing the end of their careers, not the beginning, so it would make sense to add some more youth up front there in Arizona. 29th overall, I have the Patriots taking Treylon Burks, wide receiver from Arkansas. Just had a phenomenal season. He's big, tough after the catch, runs better than you expect, is dynamic on 50-50 balls along the sideline, but really is a kind of high-volume receiver, a guy that can take on a big workload. I think he'd be an excellent number 1 wideout for Mac Jones. 30th overall, I have the Packers taking Alec Pierce, wide receiver from Cincinnati. Big, fast guy, can get downfield, has legit speed to stretch the field, but he's big to make catches over defensive backs. A hair tight, which is why he might be more of a late 1, early 2 kind of prospect, but he is a really good football player. Check him out against Alabama. His tape is fun to watch as well. I think he'd be a great fit in Green Bay. Even if Devontae Adams comes back, now you have a receiver to pair with him, and if they lose Devontae Adams, obviously receiver's just going to be a gaping hole that they're going to have to address. 31st overall, we keep the receivers rolling. I have the Chiefs taking Chris Olave. They've missed Sammy Watkins this year. It never hurts to give Pat Mahomes weapons, and Olave, I think, would be a great scheme fit for Andy Reid with his route running, his smooth, kind of polished play. I think it'd be instant impact in Kansas City, and with Pat Mahomes at quarterback, I think Olave could really hit the ground running in the NFL and give them immediate production, be a really nice fit there for Kansas City. 32nd overall, I have the Bucs taking Josh Jobe, cornerback from Alabama. Big, fast, athletic, just inconsistent with technique. I think Todd Bowles could work with him, really polish him up. They could use more cornerback help. Obviously, it's been a weakness this season, so getting a guy with a really good skill set like Jobe at the end of the first round, I think is a nice value. Now you just work with him, develop him, and I think he could be a really good pro and end up being a steal for Tampa Bay at the end of the first. All right, let's get into the teams that don't have first-round picks. We have the Bears at 38. I have them taking Zay Flowers, wide receiver from Boston College. This guy is fast, shifty, can uncover underneath, can stretch defenses vertically. He's really similar to Jalen Waddle in terms of his style of play and the kind of receiver he is. And the Bears need more weapons for Justin Fields. I think Flowers would be a great addition for Chicago. 40th overall, I have Seattle taking Alontae Taylor, cornerback from Tennessee. They need cornerback help. Taylor is big and physical, really fits that Seattle kind of defense. I think he'd be a nice value for them in the second round. 52nd overall, I have the Colts taking Jahan Dotson, wide receiver from Penn State. Quick, fast, athletic, Just a really good football player. Maybe not quite the elite speed of, say, like a Jalen Waddle, but he is just a pure football player. So competitive, so tough. The kind of guy the Colts have been drafting and having a lot of success with. I think he'd be a really good understudy and replacement for T.Y. Hilton, a guy to go across from Michael Pittman Jr. And now 53rd overall, I have the 49ers taking Jermaine Waller, cornerback from Virginia Tech, pure ball hawk, dangerous guy to pick off passes, would give the 49ers some much needed cornerback help. And I think that's a really strong part of this draft, could be the cornerback talent in the second round. So that's a good fit there in terms of value for San Francisco and meeting a team need. So that's this week's mock. You can check out the rest of the picks in the link below. Check out that hot press on Kenny Pickett. Of course, I've been updating position rankings. I got scouting reports on players' profiles going up daily on the website now, going all the way